Welcome to MOTS, where we'll be applying the Manzer or mostly Thurlow scale of quantitative analysis of pop culture narrative to a binary system.
MOTS!
This podcast contains spoilers, mature content, and language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome to MOTS. We're in the middle of our April comedy month. My name is Chris Morgan. I'm here with Rich Perry.
How you doing?
Ian Manzer.
Hello.
And Scott Thurlow.
Hey there.
And tonight we just watched the classic, is my choice, of Dude, Where's My Car? And yes, I consider it a classic.
Well,
so that's
certainly
I'm hosting
choice.
my opinion, and you are all welcome to your opinions. And Scott, do you have a funny log line?
Yes, well, this may color my opinion of what I'm going to say about this movie, but my log line is, Dude, Where's My Comedy?
Very good. So Dude, Where's My Car? I always thought about it is if Cheech and Chong got together with Rod Serling and wanted to come up with a Bill and Ted kind of comedy, this is kind of what you'd get.
Sounds appropriate.
So you claim.
Yeah, it's about two stoners.
I'd rather see the movie you just described versus Dude, Where's My Car?
Well, it's about two stoners, and they lost their car, and they get involved in some intergalactic politics with with some hot alien chicks, two Swedish aliens, some bullies, I guess, and Chrissy Boner,
Jerk jocks.
Jerk jocks. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And some ostriches, and
Cult of Zoltan.
And a Cult of Zoltan. So, it's a basic superstructure of it. Zoltan. I can't do it with the microphone.
It's because you're not trying hard
I'll
enough.
do it for you. You're not a true Zoltan member.
Rich, would you like to tell us how the movie starts? Give us the intro.
Yeah, sure. So we're introduced to our two heroes after a long night out.
Are they heroes or just protagonists?
Yes. Yes.
All right, go on.
It's a little both.
All right.
So they can't remember anything that happened the night before, and upon going outside to visit their girlfriends, they realize that Jesse's car is missing. I'm sorry, the two protagonists' names are Jesse and Chester. So Jesse's car is missing, and they have to figure out what they did with the car so they can find the gifts that they had for their girlfriends for their anniversary, which is that day. Which is kind of put into question with the end of the movie, but we'll get to that later. So over the course of trying to find their car, they keep running into situations that give a little bit more info on what they did the night before. Find out they have gifts or items that they forgot that they had, and then they're introduced to the hot aliens that are looking for the continuum transfunctioner. And they offer them oral sex in return for showing them where said device is.
Yes.
And they're also introduced to the Cult of Zoltan and the Swedish aliens.
Who are all looking for the...
And all three are looking for the continued transfunctioner. And I think that's basically where the intro ends.
Yeah, I'd agree.
It's a very fluid movie.
Yes.
And it's very rapid paced. So it's kind of hard to delineate where, like, the introduction...
Exactly.
Body
we had this problem quickly offcast to where to call it, but yeah, go on.
But I want to make 2 points with the introduction. One, perhaps... Upon rewatching it this time, my favorite joke is a joke I didn't realize existed until this viewing, which was the character Jesse wakes up with a Trivial Pursuit card, like kind of smashed to his face, and which highlights the themes of this entire movie of chasing after the MacGuffin, the Trivial Pursuit, and also I'm very happy that. Quite rapidly, the titular car and the titular dude are introduced quite quickly.
Sure. And the titular problem, I suppose, as well. Titular question.
So, yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I never liked this movie really that much, and throughout the years, it didn't really grow on me. Although, yes, the Trivial Pursuit thing actually was something we all noticed that I don't think we noticed previously. But
I can confidently say I've never noticed that before in any viewing of this.
Maybe as we've done more pretentious reviews, we noticed more things like that. By the way, I will say that we agreed that it's sort of, in a weird reversal, perhaps, that this movie, I think, becomes stronger as it goes on. I think it starts out slow, and then actually gets a little bit better as it goes through the body in conclusion. So I'm probably going to give the intro a 0, just because I think it's like front loaded with the weakest parts, I guess, oddly. And like some of like the jokes that are in the intro are some of the ones I like the least.
But did it do its job in explaining the world?
Yes, it set it up. I understand that, but I don't know.
And I'll get more of this.
It's tough because of that, true.
I'll get more into this when we talk about the body. But it's actually a very elaborate plot that they set up, which is they're dealing with all these different factions fighting for this intergalactic MacGuffin that is different than the car MacGuffin. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of slowly set. This movie doesn't. It's weird. It's a well-crafted, stupid movie, and they slowly put all the pieces together. And yes, it takes time for this like elaborate chess match to be formed, but I respect them for what they did, and the narrative is actually quite.
It's more coherent, I guess, than usually either A or I remember we might give credit for in a movie of this nature, perhaps.
So I'm going to give it a soft 1.
I'm still going to give it a soft 0, but I'm going to give a lot of credit, more credit than I was really going to the body in the conclusion as we go on. But
give it a 1.
Intro, I'll give a soft 0 for now.
What I liked about the intro is, aside from, this is my choice. I have the DVD. I've seen it a number of times. The thing I like about it, after the Trivial Pursuit, one of the things that plays into, the plot a couple times is that fact that Chester watches Animal Planet, specifically Discovery Channel, and when they do the pan around at the beginning, they put the TV with the monkey scratching his head, and they put the name of the monkey on the Andrew, and then you turn and it introduces Chester, and he's doing the same thing. So visually, it introduces you to the fact that he watches Animal Planet. And this movie does start a little slow, but it is a progressive build. I mean, there is a payoff. There's like little things that happen, little visual cues, and there's always a setup and a payoff. And it's not just a payoff and a joke, but in terms of the plot, and they pay off. Like they set things up, and then it's like there's a bunch of Chekhov's guns in this thing. There's a Chekhov Rubik's
Think of it this way:
Chekhov's armory.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I got a better metaphor / trope term. It's a house built of brick jokes. So, so when you're watching the house being built, like individually, it's not that entertaining. But when the house is complete, then it all comes together. So
I'm definitely giving this a 1. Ian, tell us about the body.
All right, so I'm not going to talk about the comedy at all. I'm more talk about this intergalactic war that is waging with a artifact that its mystery is
only surpassed by its power, of course.
So you have 2 alien factions. One, yes, made up of sexy, big-boobed hussies who are offering oral sex in exchange.
They never say that, but it's just obviously implied to be.
No, they do say it.
Yeah.
I thought
they say erotic pleasure, and then she deep throats the popsicle. And
but they never say it. It doesn't matter.
Enough
anyway.
about the comedy. We're talking seriously about the
seriously.
movie.
All right.
Yep.
Go on.
And meanwhile, you have 2, another alien faction, which are the keeper of the
Continuum.
They're the guardians of the Continuum Transfunctor.
Yes.
Whatever.
And yes, they are the guardians, and they're both on Earth to find this artifact, which has been kind of got lost here by the Swedish aliens themselves,
I guess.
Or Nordic aliens. I think is as close as they got.
Sure.
And they both have a faction of humans that is working for them. One is a group of local ruffians, of Biffs from.
A gang of Biffs?
A gang of young Biffs, pretty much. Yes.
Who,
Good description.
Who kidnap their Jesse and Chester's stoner guru friend. And there's also a group of people who watch too much of X-Files and decide to become a cult in worship of these aliens. And they wear
Bubble wrap
spacesuits
leotard,
and end up kidnapping Jesse and Chester's girlfriends, who for some reason are with these guys. Regardless, but it's interesting to see the parallels between the two. Both have their human minions that are both human minions do the same tactics. Meanwhile, Jesse and Chester are a group of 2 morons who've lost their car and are generally irresponsible and keep falling from one scenario to another in the quest to resolve this issue that they don't want to actually deal with. And it leads up to them at this, I guess, space arcade?
Space-themed arcade,
Yes.
I guess, yeah.
Where
Space Cadium.
they decide to call the Mexican standoff to happen there. And I just made this movie sound much deeper than it actually is. But that is the narrative.
But that's what I like about it. And also, we keep forgetting the transsexual stripper who robbed the
Somehow was involved in all
who
this
is, who is
shit.
skimming because they end up in a strip club at one point, and she's skimming off there to run away with her boyfriend. And so there's the suitcase of money, which is like the third MacGuffin in the movie.
That's
Sure,
true.
yeah.
Forgot about that.
But that's kind of ancillary to the plot.
Well, yeah, it is. No, it is. I'm just
Well,
saying
it's weird because
that
it kicks it off
It's
in the
not
beginning, but
I wouldn't say it's like ancillary. It's important because that's how they get from place to place after that.
yeah, it's there for connective tissue.
it's all
without
kind of intertwined, sure.
But that's one of the things when I remember this movie came out. I saw it, and I saw the trailer for it, and I'm like, this movie looks like it sucks. My buddy calls me up, and he's like, you have to see Dude, Where's My Car? And I'm like, oh, man. He goes, no. I know what you're thinking. Watch it. He goes, just watch it. It's a science fiction movie. And I've always said before, and that to me, it's a smart movie packaged as a dumb movie, because you've got this puerile comedy that generally I don't like, but I find the story good, and I find that the jokes actually work, and it's just bizarre enough. You know, there's a lot of random stuff in there, and it's just this bizarre mishmash, but it also is at the same time coherent within the story, you know.
What's very interesting to me for a movie of this, like, kind of complexity of plot, although we follow the main characters all the time, you as the viewer have more info than they do. And usually you'll see movies like that where you'll be privy to scenes that are outside of the protagonist's viewpoint. Here, you're just following idiots who don't understand the ramifications, except sometimes they not get lucky in a sense, but they're just the random skills that they possess, such as him watching Animal Planet, get them out of situations which they shouldn't have been able to get out otherwise.
Yeah, they in all their idiocy, each of them has a certain way of deducing things. I mean, they each have their specialized power of deduction that favors them in certain points.
Definitely see that with Jesse being able to like give like a coherent rundown of this type of situation that they're in.
Yeah,
and keeping them both on track.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like I said, I think it comes together more. Yeah, they introduce a lot of like what should be disparate, complex things, plot elements, but somehow are all tied together by all the characters and all, like Ian was just saying, all the information that you get. They're piecing it together as it unfolds throughout the body. So by the end, by the time they reach the space cadium, whatever it was, then they have pretty much all the knowledge that they need to figure out and sort of play these sides against each other that you introduce. So like, yeah, I'm probably going to end up giving it a solid 1 because even though, like I said, I have a reverse affinity for this movie, even though I like others within the same general genre, I will give it credit because it's not all just random non sequiturs. Like, almost anything, if not everything introduced, somehow has some kind of tie-in or callback or something.
Starting with the credits.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll give it credit on that front. And like I said, it is weird, like, you don't see this often where a comedy movie of this nature actually sort of becomes better as it goes on. Like, many times you can see it start to trail off, where like they can't sustain themselves. This one I think starts off slow, but then sort of comes together throughout. So I'll give it respect and credit on that front.
Giving it a 1.
Yeah, I'm definitely
one for
giving it
me.
a 1. And it's got ostriches in it, so.
Sure. Great.
And that's the thing. There is a man who is, I'm sure, illegally breeding ostriches.
It's French. It's cool, man. It's okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that.
But I like the fact that they do
How
the
do you know he's
Jurassic
breeding
Park homage without
Yeah, that's
hitting
true.
you over the head with it. It's just there.
And that's true. That's maybe this goes style, but to be fair, we did point out that there are a lot of like referential kind of situational things like that is in the movie, though. So I think we all gave it a 1, I believe.
I'm giving it a 1.
Okay, great. And conclusion to Scott.
All right. So like I just mentioned, they end up at the space cadium. They have enough pieces of the night before that and have gathered other information throughout in an attempt to track down the car and also their quest thrust upon them. But thou must find the continuum. So they go to their locker at the Space Cadium and find a bunch of random objects, one being the briefcase full of money, and they enact their plan. They also have a bunch of tickets for the arcade, so they cash those in for what they think would look like an continuum transfixture, whatever, transponder, whatever the fuck it is. The MacGuffin thing. I never remember what it is.
Continuum transfunction.
Sure. The CT.
5 seconds before.
The CT, if you will. And then they call in all the factions who are looking for it and sort of like stage a face-off, as Ian mentioned earlier. And like their plan is they get their girlfriends back and are going to sneak out. But then, of course, it's revealed very quickly that they've just purchased a random prize that anyone could get at this Space Cadium. Mm-hmm. And the actual transponder, of course, is actually a pretty good brick joke, too. The whole time Chester has been playing with a Rubik's Cube and finally is about to figure it out. And, of course, it transforms into the transponder. So then there's a sort of, we're lying, no, he's lying between the hot alien chicks and the two Nordic guardians of it. And they come up, with a decent stoner question. They ask him, what score they got in the 19th hole or 18th hole of the putt-putt at the Arcadium that they're at. And it happened to be behind them on a sign and the pudding thing as well.
Oh, yeah. It's set up right in the beginning that they have a whole bunch of pudding that they don't know why. But, and then they piece it together through their Scooby-Doo logic.
Yes, exactly. So they figure out that the Nordic gentlemen, in fact, are indeed the true keepers of the transponder. And they use it to, they give it to them, and then all the hot chicks meld into one giant Attack of the 50-Foot Woman kind of thing.
She's like 25 feet.
Sure, but but I think they're going for that reference as well, which is actually not bad. Like, it's decent. So then that ridiculous farcical scene happens, and then they're told by the Zoltan cult members that there's a setting on the transponder that also is like a annihilator beam or whatever the hell it is.
We're going to use the continuum of the transfunction.
Sure.
Transfunction to send you to Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's right. They're about the two guys. That is a pretty good joke. I was waiting that in dialogue.
No, it's not a pretty good joke. Respect to Hoboken, New Jersey, and
but I still think it's funny, right? They barely get it out of their mouths before they get like knocked away. So like if you blink, you'll miss it. So anyway, they use the beam to, I guess, explode the 25 foot tall alien woman, and then go back and celebrate. Oh, they're mind wiped by the Nordic guys, so sort of Men in Black style. And then they are reunited with their girlfriends and present to them two sets of gifts, one that they intended to and one that was given to them by the Nordic Guardians unbeknownst to them. And it pretty much ends. They're happy. Like it's you know,
drive off into the sunset.
Exactly. If they find their car as well.
Mm-hmm.
Biff finally gets oral, although he's swallowed whole by
he is the oral by the
that was set up too. Yes. You got the popsicle.
Yeah, like I said, so I'm saving a lot.
Anybody who's into that.
I'm saving a lot of that stuff for like dialogue and style, perhaps. But yeah, it ends off quickly enough, and yeah, there's a lot of payoff. Anything they didn't pay off or set up and haven't like come back to, they do. So I'll give them credit on that, and I think it ends like not abruptly, like but quickly enough, but without without any plot holes, whatever plot holes may be.
The cult of Zoltan gets their wish.
Yeah, they
get taken to a party in some distant galaxy, and everyone's happy at the end except for Biff.
Yeah, it's all fine. So if we're going by the high
girlfriend leaves him.
Yeah, well,
another side character.
I forgot about that. But anyway, if we're going by Noel Carroll's narrative closure, I think Dude, Where's My Car achieves that.
Oh, certainly. And the question is answered.
Yeah.
They get their car.
They have found their car.
Right, exactly.
He finds his car, dude. So I'll give it a solid 1 as well for conclusion.
I agree.
Absolutely. Okay, and it's on to me with themes. Oh boy.
Well.
Good luck.
Yeah. I think if this is a theme, problem solving, because it really is. Well, I mean, because it really is. It's.
Make sure you watch Animal Planet and sci-fi shows or science shows, and you'll solve stoner problems.
It's one of these things that if you took it as a mystery, all the evidence is there, and it's nothing. There are certain things like when Jesse figures out the pudding thing, that's set up within the first 5 minutes, as Ian says. But you don't. When he asks the question between the two groups of aliens. And Chester's like, how'd you know that? And he points up their hole-in-one lifetime supply of pudding. It's like that was one of the few things that they didn't that you might not have been able to figure out when it happened. But I mean, they're giving you information all along. It is just a series of puzzles. I don't really know if that's a theme.
I would actually say it's more of style.
Yeah.
And it captures the kind of mystery aspect pretty interestingly, like considering it's a stupid stoner movie.
Saying Sherlock, where's my car?
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but again...
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Yes, this is what I'm going to say.
It
should be Dear Watson, if you will. But this is something we brought up on a number of episodes, and I think it's sort of become, at least my tradition, where I'm not going to fault the work, but they just weren't intentionally going for really any deep theme. Even if like a lighthearted one, it's just to entertain you really, and to have like, yes, as we said, a number of well set up and paid off jokes.
I don't know, normally I would agree with you, but I kind of want to give this movie that much credit.
I cannot randomly slap a theme in and just
I am
say,
though.
Okay, go ahead.
So I don't think it's strongly. I'm probably going to give this a 0, but I think that it's similar to Grandma's Boy, which we just reviewed, where it's the redemption of the slacker. It's a person who, like your skill, you might be considered a buffoon, a person who is terrible at everything in life, but if you put in the right circumstance for your right skills, you will succeed in life.
But fortunately, all that character development was wiped away by the end of the movie.
Which I think is the great tragedy of the drug addict. But
okay.
But that could be another theme too.
So, but I'm giving it a 0
That's
because
too Waldo-esque, dude. Like, I like it, but I don't think the movie intended that, so I'm gonna give it just a
Dude, where's my Waldo?
Yeah, Dude, Where's My Theme? It's a default 0 for me, I think. Again, not a fault really, but that it wasn't the intent of this kind of movie to do that, and they didn't, so.
Yeah, I have to give it a 0. Nobody's really convinced me otherwise.
Yeah.
I agree. Watching the movie, I'm like, I love this movie, but
you don't go to see
this
Dude,
is
Where's
the
My
one
Car
thing
for
I'm
its
going to give a
messages.
0. Yeah.
But we should.
You know, I tried to talk my way through it with the problem solving.
Yeah, well.
Ian tried to, and it didn't work.
Nice try,
it's
guys.
our fault
I give
for
it
not
1 for that
understanding.
effort.
I'm
Sure,
sure.
0 for the theme.
What does mine say? 0.
And we go to Rich with the antagonist.
This is another good one.
So I'd want to see the hot chick aliens, but they're not necessarily. I would say it's partying so hard you get memory loss.
Yes, I was going to say drug abuse.
Yeah, drug abuse
Of course.
is because like the first thought in their minds, well, of course, like who would think that it was a bunch of Dutch aliens that erased their memories, but they wake up like, how hard did we party last night? And Jesse even brings up at one point, it's like, dude, maybe we shouldn't shibby so hard.
Yeah.
True. And he gets slapped immediately.
Yeah, he gets slapped immediately. It's like, you're right, what was I thinking?
Yeah, of course. It's never going to be an option. But, like, again, a la the, like, searching for deep themes that may not even exist or be there. But I do like this one more solid,
because it was intended because he brings up later on in the movie that they have to grow to be better people for their girlfriends.
When they realize they're shitty boyfriends, that's true.
I'm sorry. That was earlier in the movie before that.
Either way,
shibby slap
both of that
and
stuff
they forgot
is
the entire thing by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they were forcibly like a mind erased essentially, but I get it. See, I was going to say this, like, yeah, the like body snatching aliens who inhabited the bodies of attractive females to try to entice the people that get the MacGuffin they want, but. It was never really like, they didn't really say what they were going to do with it. Was it implied they're going to destroy the universe?
I suppose so, but here's the problem is that
they said that outright.
Yeah. They did? Okay.
Regardless of their intention with the space MacGuffin.
Why? Wouldn't that destroy them, is all I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it was...
Plot hole. Go on.
It doesn't need to.
Right.
Here's the thing is, Jesse and Chester, until the very end when it turns into the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, aren't really all that antagonized by the...
by them.
Yes. They're just another inconvenience getting in the way of their happy stoner existence.
Sure. True, they treat every hurdle they have to go over as a minor inconvenience.
Yeah. Well, they got their eyes on the prize for their car.
That's a good point. So that means, I don't know, do you have anything else more? Did you?
Irresponsibility, I suppose.
That's a good one.
You know, waking up and not knowing where your car is is not even a minor inconvenience. That's pretty serious inconvenience. That takes precedence over.
It's the major inconvenience of anything else.
Swedish guys coming up to you telling you that the world is about to end. So
them trying to find the car is what actually got them to save the universe.
But the motivation for them trying to find the car is that they want to get the presents for their girlfriends. They want to be more
responsible
people. So yeah, exactly.
Needy girlfriends are the antagonists?
No, it's them wanting to get laid. They want to prove themselves to the girlfriends because they want to get laid.
Yes.
But they're trying. The whole thing is they're trying to prove their worth. But in so doing,
end up wanting to become better people.
This is a really tricky one.
They don't remember the circumstances, but like they're still the same people, even without the memory of what had happened the night before.
Perhaps. I guess I'm going to judge it. I'm going to channel Stephen Amosi and like, were they in fact antagonized by any one thing throughout?
No.
Not really.
Their own immaturity.
Yeah, they stumbled, and even that got them through situations. Like, that was the biggest stumbling block, and even that helped them out.
You're right.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to give it a 0 because they overcame almost anything, even themselves.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give it a 0 too.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I can't even really put
on the narrative and the characters.
Yeah, but it's not even one of these things where there could be like an overarching thing like Scott and always like man versus his own fate and so
even Ico.
And Ian with the protagonists.
I'm making a very obscure reference here. Chester Krantz and Jesse Stern are dead.
Sure.
You're following. Here's the thing: is I didn't really like the two protagonists. I sympathized with them, but I just on a personal level didn't like them.
I agree with you.
And
yeah, pretty much.
I actually thought Sean William Scott, that's his name, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, who's more likable than Ashton Kutcher in this. But I think this was Ashton Kutcher's most unsufferable era of his acting. And again, that colors my opinion of it. I think that they were fine protagonists, but I feel like that's why I brought up I'm following in a way, the two least important people in the plot.
Those two guys.
So, I don't know. I'm going to pass it along to you guys.
Yeah, I was leaning towards something like that, and I think you might have convinced me even more of it. Like, even though they're the main characters, they're like the most flat ones because everything else happening around them is interesting. Even though, don't get me wrong, they do have personality to them. It's just that I don't have to necessarily enjoy that personality. I don't know. I might give it a soft 0. At least that's what I'm leaning towards for now. So I'll open up to you guys.
I'm like, to me, it doesn't matter whether they're likable or not. They serve the role as the protagonist. Everything is. I mean, they're the nexus for whatever goes on. I mean, they are definitely the straight man through the whole movie, except for a couple gags.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah,
you're very right. But I mean,
no, but they serve their function as protagonists. But I mean, they are the one through line through all this chaos. They're the ones.
True, they're like the Mad Max of this world, I guess.
Well, yeah, but
I get what you're saying. Yes,
but does that ever make Mad Max any less of a protagonist?
It's really close though, because of what we just said, but also because of that fact. So I'm still kind of wavering. If anybody has any last convincing things one way or another.
When you brought up Mad Max, it solidified what the one I'm going to give it.
Chris, you kind of said to me that, well, they're the protagonist. But yeah, I agree with you. I just don't know how
effective
they were. Yeah, exactly the point.
I thought they served their job as protagonists, despite
because when you have a protagonist, they're supposed to be the force that drives the story forward.
Yeah, in fact, the story drives them forward. Exactly. Yeah, that might be the thing that...
It's like they're secondary characters to the plot. The plot is the protagonist in this movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think that's going to be the final evidence for me to give them a softest 0, yeah. They were fine throughout, but because of that very fact, I think they're going to get a 0.
I'm giving it a 1. I'm going to go with the Mad Max 1.
Yeah, if I can call the plot the protagonist, then it'll get a 1. But the movie itself does not want us to believe that.
Yeah, so Rich, 0. 0? Okay.
I couldn't even convince myself of that.
Nice try, though.
Yeah.
Scott, and you are with the supporting characters.
All right. Jackal, 1. The dog of their pot deal, I guess, of their stone.
Forgot that dog's name.
That's the one thing I did remember. So, I mean, I thought that was funny. But the Zoltan cult, like, there was a lot of, like, sort of, not even cameos, but, for example, one of the chicks who's in the Zoltan cult is Gail the Snail from Always Sunny, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. And the guy who plays her, what's their guru, like, dealer guy's name in the movie? What's the character name? Does anybody remember?
Something with a C,
Neil
maybe?
Sin, maybe, or something like that. I thought. It doesn't matter, but
I told you, I was forgetting this movie as soon as it ended.
He's played by, the guy who plays Michael Bolton in Office Space, and I thought he's all fine.
Huh.
And their girlfriends were okay. So, I think because it's so, like, slapstick, kind of, like, bizarre, like, absurd, surreal, I think everything sort of, rounds it out. And I'll give them all collectively a 1, probably, but also Jacko would get a 1. He's top tier, and everyone else
I got another top tier for you.
okay. The blind kids?
No, at the DMV.
Oh, yeah.
Penny,
Yes,
I believe.
yes.
The crazy DMV woman.
She is very good,
is
that's true.
Fantastic. And
You're right.
I wish
That's one
all
of
my
my favorite
DMV
gags.
visits
Yeah.
were like that.
I
You're
wish
right.
she came back towards the end.
Yeah, they didn't give her a call back, unfortunately, but that was a funny scene, and she was,
You know what? Her
Good.
character, like, because like when he ran off screaming, like her laughter to close out that scene was her telling everybody that she didn't want to be in the rest of this movie. She didn't need to be in the rest of this movie.
fair enough.
Like that was her scene.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it all like I said, because they're sort of the nexus for all this, like, bizarre other characters who are interacting with them, like, giving them quests and telling them to do this and do that, and kidnapping their girlfriends and etc. I think they all deserve collectively a solid 1.
I just want to say one other thing. The smiling Chinese tailor's kaleidoscope face deserves a 1 on its
I
own.
guess.
What does it woo?
I want that as my screensaver, to be
I'm
honest.
sure you can find
Oh my
that
god!
easily.
Oh yeah, probably.
So I'm giving it a 1.
I do like the blind kid where the
Oh, yeah.
hot chicks come up and he's like, "Can I see your face?" It's how I could get a chance to look at you. And he's feeling her face, and he like you could see him like licking his lips, and he works his way down to his breast.
No, he does the
Her
audible
breast.
gulp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He builds up courage.
Exactly.
That's great.
Is this normal? Yes, this is how blind people see.
That's how they shake hands.
this is how we shake hands.
Shake hands, yeah.
And then when Wanda and Wilma show up, he goes away. He's just like, "All right, excuse me, I gotta go be by myself."
Sure.
I mean, I'm definitely giving this a 1. It's got a
Yeah.
great gallery of.
Yeah, 1 where the supporting characters rise, the protagonists kind of fall.
Yeah. I would agree.
And it's to me with dialogue, and the dialogue itself is fairly pedestrian, but the gags work. Like, it's the quips that work. Like the thing
Yeah.
with the kid where he's just like, "I need to be alone right now," or I don't know, just it was all the little things. I mean, it wouldn't be the strongest of ones for me. I can't make like in terms of dialogue, but I'm gonna say like the quips work. I mean.
So, in a reverse of, well, not in a reverse, to show how this movie is better than Leonard Part 6.
God damn you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Speak.
Leonard Part 6 was all visual gags, and they worked and had awful dialogue. This is a lot of visual gags to it.
Yeah.
But it also has, like, effective, like, one-liners, dialogue, jokes. They do a lot more setup in this, and this will go farther into style. But they do have, like, in a sense, like, audio, like, jokes that have been set up and work fine. And, yeah, again, you have Andy Dick in this, who's awful. But,
It's only in there for like 5 minutes.
but, like, even that has, like, the dialogue, the honorable joke, which is pretty
The honorable
decent.
joke.
But there's a number of, like, with the Chinese tailor, when he would kind of like insult them in Chinese, and they didn't understand. So, like, there were moments of dialogue that worked. Again, it's not the strongest, but it's still better than Leonard Part 6,
Yeah.
which is saying nothing.
It's not saying much, but yeah, I'm probably leaning towards a solid-ish decent 1 because of that very thing, and just happened to be juxtaposed / compared to Leonard Part 6.
Sultan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know you love that little gag.
The Zoltan thing is great. But yeah, it's the dialogue is definitely one of those things where the sum of the parts is better than the whole. But as Ian said, that the audio jokes work and they're set up. So yeah, I'd give it a 1. Rich.
I guess there were a few memorable lines that I do remember saying I was going to use in everyday life. So I guess
Sure. Based on
I
that
want
scale.
to go on that ride, Dad.
Yeah,
me
me
too.
too,
son.
Yeah. So sure. All right.
I know it's not dialogue, but I just thinking about the bubble wrap thing.
Yes. Well, we're about to talk about that in style, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we'll go to Rich with style because there's a couple of things I want to talk about here.
Like we said, these jokes, I did not remember this at all since the last time I saw it, how well these jokes were set up throughout the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it won a lot of respect from me because of that. And I'm going to just give it a 1 right now.
I'm pretty much like in the same boat because, like I said at the outset, was never the biggest fan. But having watched just now, they in fact did a better job of setting up jokes and paying them off and making them all sort of come together.
It's older comedy too.
Yeah,
it's not modern.
Exactly. Like the dude sweet thing is like a Lauren Hardy gag as Rabbit Costello as we pointed out. So yeah, stuff like that.
No, I think a great example of that is when they're taken captive by the cult of Zoltan with the fire extinguisher.
Oh yeah.
Yes. That kind of joke is
it's classic.
Yes,
it's kind of that's I guess slapstick, but also kind of
physical.
Situational, and all the different subgenres of comedy that they tackle in this movie really surprised me going in because my memory didn't do it justice. And I was actually going in there not viewing it as something to laugh at, but analyzing it. I was really actually impressed by the effort they went in. Visual gags, jokes they set up at the very beginning of the movie that only pay off, as you mentioned earlier. It's a ton of brick jokes in here, and callbacks. And call forwards. It's fantastic. It's actually really impressive.
It's more intelligent and more clever than I remembered it, as Rich was saying, than I may have originally given it credit for. So I'll give it the credit it's due on that front and give it a 1.
Yeah, and the other thing I have to say that I really loved about this movie, first of all, I think ostriches are probably one of the greatest.
Yes, well, you have a weakness for ostriches.
I do have a weakness for ostriches. I laughed in Leonard Part 6.
So many ostriches.
And it is just one of the things I love about this. But one of the things with Jackal and the ostriches is when they go from the live animal to the fake head,
the puppet-ish.
I mean, the animatronics, they didn't even try. It's just this is especially with Jackal when he's got the bowl, it's
sure.
His eyes sink and they're not quite red, but it just, his expression.
Sure, it looks fake as hell, but somehow that's fun. They're embracing that.
It's the bit where the ostrich slams his head through the roof of the car.
Yeah, exactly.
And knocks him out. Has a sub joke where you figure Brent Spiner trained this ostrich, or all of these ostriches,
to do that.
To knock out intruders so that he could throw them in the cages.
Yeah, that's true. If you think about it, that has to be
incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. And I like the broken cage in the back when they're
in the jungle part.
When they're in the jungle part, and the fact that there's a car that's broken down, dilapidated.
Sure.
And also, he trained all these ostriches, but he's only captured 3 people over the course of
wait. Well, you don't know that because he let Jesse and Chester go after they asked the trivia question.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe Andy Dick is just shitty at trivia.
Oh, probably.
He did say he answered Brown to the question of how fast an ostrich runs.
Exactly.
Which kind of sets it up that they're good at it because of Trivial Pursuit card.
Yeah. And because he watched Animal Planet. Yeah. So all that.
Another callback.
Yeah, exactly. So all that is evidence, I think, that I'll give it a 1.
Yeah, exactly. And Ian, would you recommend this movie?
Also a tough one, I know. I'm with you, buddy.
To certain people, I would. Actually, people who want to analyze comedy, I would. Because I think this actually does a fairly, a competent job at making working well with things.
That's a very good answer.
And I can't actually if a random person came up and said, "Should I watch what comedy movie should I watch?" Dude, Where's My Car would be on the list, but it'd be very far down the list.
I feel personally, if I answered Dude, Where's My Car, I would get laughed in my face.
Yeah, that's the thing that's tripping me up too. It's weird because I wouldn't. Before this, I probably wouldn't recommend it. If a bunch of people are like, "Hey man, we're having a party, we're hanging out, watching a bunch of comedies. One's gonna be Doom Where's My Car," I would be like, "Nah, maybe I'll show up after that movie." But now,
I had a lot of trouble coming out here tonight because I knew we were watching this movie.
Rich was about to watch it already, and it's sort of the same thing. But as E just said, it actually is. If you analyze it, for like setting up jokes and like the structure of jokes, it's actually pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the final thing I was going to say is like, either you have heard of this movie and love it and seen it a million times, or you pass it up and are never going to watch it. So it's hard to like have a recommendation on that front. Like, if you're going to watch it again, you're going to do it anyways because you're a fan. So I don't know, but that was a very good point. That might have pushed me over the edge to give it a recommendation where I otherwise wouldn't normally have given it. So
See, I can't even. I have a hard time like trying to recommend it for like a so bad it's good, or like something that you could drink and it will be better, because I drank a fair amount and I still didn't.
It was still okay.
Yeah, it was still okay at best.
See, that's the thing. Like,
best.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, but I think again, if you're going to study, like, it could have been a lot worse. Like, this movie seems on the surface that it's going to just be like a bunch of random shit they threw together and think was funny. And it sort of is that, but it all sort of ties itself together. The plot never falls apart. It doesn't like randomly introduce something just for a joke, or if it does, it pays off that same joke later on. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to give it credit on that front. So sure, I guess if you've never seen Do With My Car and are reluctant to, it's better than you might think it is in your own head. So sure, give it a watch.
This movie was recommended to me. Right off the bat, as soon as I watched the movie, I called all the people that needed to watch the movie. My buddy Chris, who recommended me seeing this movie, and my buddy Rob, who's been on the podcast once. The three of us think this is basically a perfect movie. I mean, you mentioned a plot hole before. I didn't hear it.
I heard Steve-O laughing in the back.
Well, it was this. I mean, again, it's sort of a joke. If indeed the hot alien chicks are trying to get the continuum thing to destroy the universe, wouldn't that destroy them too?
Well, maybe they don't want to exist anymore.
I guess, sure.
It's suicide.
Maybe they
by
have a way
end
of
of the universe.
sidestepping the destruction of the universe.
All right.
I mean, their plot could be a
And I never
MacGuffin.
would have thought about it until just
Their
this moment.
motivation could be a MacGuffin, but like structurally...
This whole movie is MacGuffins. Go on.
Well, yeah, but structurally, this movie, I think works. And obviously I recommended it, to be on one of our comedy month of,
Sure.
lesser known or lesser appreciated comedies. I think the movie's great. So I would recommend it. Maybe not everybody, I'd recommend it to people, not to probably everybody, but, I recommended it. I would recommend it to more people. I'm definitely giving it one.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't in all good conscience recommend this movie to anyone.
That's fair. I wouldn't beforehand, but it was a lot closer in my mind.
Swallow.
It's a lot closer in my mind than it was originally. But I see both sides of it, but I think I am going to at the end of the day, just because of Ian's argument, pretty much.
All right, so we all ready for scores?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, so Rich, Scott, and myself all gave it the same score for different reasons.
Nice.
So we gave it 6s, and Chris gave it an 8, giving a aggregate score of a 6.75. Sorry, 6.5.
So did you? I didn't hear it. You and Ian and Scott, you both recommended or not recommended it?
I ended up recommending it.
I did not recommend it. Scott recommended it.
Okay.
Because of Ian's argument. Sometimes that happens.
Okay. Anybody
go.
have any last things to say?
I think we've said enough about this movie.
Okay.
What does mine say is the last thing I have to say.
So I've been here with Rich Perry,
Sultan.
Ian Manzer,
Zoltan.
Scott Thurlow,
Sultan.
and I'm Chris Morgan. Zoltan.
Good night.
Editing and engineering by Christopher Morgan. Music by Christopher Morgan. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates.